Happy Friday. Now it's time for old Dot Booger's pick of the week. Let's go through a few things I listened to this week. Let's just take a look at this old boy. Like, what is going on? We got like pixie fairies and space worms, and this old boy that looked like he come out of the Dig Dug game getting horrifically murdered by this dingus here. What an asshole. And then like a witch flying around. What is going on? I'll tell you what. So BBC Radiophonic Workshop. They're doing all kind of weird atmospheres and sound effects for your favorite horror, sci-fi, and fantasy shows on BBC in the late 70s. So this is mostly synthesizer stuff, less than a minute long on most tracks. Lots of weird sound effects. This is super awesome. Can't believe I found it for $1 at the bottom of a bin at a junk store. I did lose my mind just a little bit listening to that whole thing. So apologies in advance for weirdness. Next, we got some Lalo Schifrin. There's a whole Lalo Schifrin going on. My favorite Lalo Schifrin album in my collection. I tend to buy a lot of his stuff because it's a good bargain and it's always good. At least it's usually very good, or not, if not awesome. This is my favorite. Just keeps me interested from start to finish. A lot of different compositions, creative arrangements, good tones. There's a weird concept behind this album that my feeble mind can't quite decode. Maybe something to do with a conspiracy to poison the food supply and wheat grain, and then inject psychedelic mushrooms into people's brains. And soundtrack to Bullet by Lalo Schifrin. So this is just good, reliable Lalo Schifrin, sort of like the Brazilian influenced jazz that got him noticed and into Hollywood. Um, really good, solid stuff, groovy stuff. The horn sections at time remind me of how a dog will look at you when they're dropping a deuce. You know, like when they're doing their doggy scroggy business. Come on now, y'all know what I'm talking about. Too much BBC Radiophonic Workshop now. Sorry for the weirdness there. Next, we got Merlin, the magical fingers of Merlin, and his Hammond organ moods at midnight. The cover looks like, if they like, Trauma Pictures, the people that made Toxic Avenger, if there was like a fictional organ player that's like the most popular musician in the world, and this is his hit album, like this is what it would look like in a Trauma movie. This thing smells like it was pulled from the bottom of a stack of moldy Sears catalogs in Grandpa's attic. And the music's okay. It's like typical cheesy Hammond organ album. There's no accompaniment, so that's kind of cool. But Old Blood loves to use that volume pedal on the Hammond, and every measure makes it real dramatic. So, and then nothing's dramatic. Merlin, come on now. Houdini, Escape now. They escape. Oh boy, look kind of sad now, but don't worry. They're going to bring you some great early 80s electro funk, hip hop, rap. Even got me rapping a little bit about Halloween. Don't play with Ouija or disturb the dead. So say a prayer, pull the covers tight. Cause Scroach Monster always come out at night. Scroach Monster, Scroach Monster, Scroach Monster, Scroach Monster, Scroach Monster, Scroach Monster. Next, we got Porter Wagner, Country Fillins. Mid 60s RCA country. Never heard him before. Really like his voice. They do kind of a bluegrass style harmony with the vocals. RCA on many country albums, and this one's no exception. They do a lot to keep you interested and uh, do studio tricks and mix up the instruments a bit between songs. They didn't take him too far uptown like they do on some country albums. So it's a good happy medium between basic country and cool studio tricks. I definitely want to find more Porter Wagner. Next, we got like a late 70s double disc Merl Travis release on a small label. Come on now, buy me. I still still good now. He's like one of my favorite guitarists, one of the most unique fingerstyle guitarists. I get kind of skeptical when I see little labels release stuff like this late in somebody's career. I'm worried that they're going to re-record all these classic songs and make them modern or improve them. Like this could be a disco album for all I know, but it's not. It's like it sounds like him playing with a small country band, like with steel guitar and drums and bass and whatnot. Um, he plays really well. There's even some songs of him just with the acoustic guitar. His aged voice works well with the work songs and coal mining songs that he's known for. If you've never heard him, I wouldn't start with this, but it's definitely a great album, great Merl Travis album. If you've never heard him, check out Walking the Strings. That's a great compilation to start with. Next up, we got old Robert Fripp in the League of Crafty Guitarists live. So Guitarcraft is sort of a school of guitar and methodology that originated with him. And this is towards the beginning of that. And he says that, being a part of Guitarcraft and mentoring and teaching is his proper work in life. And forgive me if I misquoted him or mischaracterized that, but this music is him with about 15 other guitarists. Even a young Trey Gunn is in there. They're playing acoustic guitars, and they all sound like one big instrument, like a big harpsichord, and combined with a harp with maybe 10 times more strings. Some of the music's really Baroque-esque, which isn't so appealing to me, but when they slow things down a bit or get mid-tempo, that's when it really gets interesting for me, because I can appreciate more how all of these different guitarists sound when they let notes bleed into each other or ring between players. There's a Frippertronics track on here that, unfortunately for me, like I feel like that steals the show of the Crafty Guitarist. It's like him doing his Frippertronics tape loop and doing a fuzz guitar solo on top of it. I think there's a better Crafty Guitarists release on CD. I can't remember the name of it, but it captures their repertoire well. Next, we got Peter Thomas Sound Orchestra with Space Patrol TV soundtrack. This is one of my favorite soundtracks in my collection. Peter Thomas is just so provocative and unique and ear catching without getting too far outside the bounds of what would work well, like on a TV soundtrack. Um, Even like sort of normal-ish tracks are still have a lot of flair for the weird to my ears, and the tones are all amazing, like great drum tones, great guitar tones, some of the best sax tones I've ever heard. So highly recommend that one. And finally, the pick of the week, Mort Garson as Ataraxia, electronic musical impressions of the occult. So he was well known and famous as a successful arranger and songwriter well before there was a Moog synthesizer. And then at some point in his career, he started doing these Moog albums, and I don't think he released two under the same name. He has a pseudonym like Ataraxia or Lucifer or Z. But this is my favorite Moog album in my collection. His compositions are great. They're usually pretty simple, but very well orchestrated with counterpoints, and his use of the Moog synthesizer is great. He comes up with the best sounds. There's really fat stuff on here. There's some drums now and then. I even got up and danced a bit. I love the cover. It looked like the scariest Atari 2600 game cover. And I'm not sure about this, but this may be the last thing that somebody heard before they were like brutally murdered in a basement in the Midwest. That's all I got for the week. Say hi to your mama now. Later.